first alteration of the year is this dressing gown. This is a vintage pattern that I made, I think 8 or 9 years ago. I will put the exact date up on screen for you. At the time, I was thoroughly in love with this thing, and it is pretty epic. I mean, it's glamorous, it's warm, but it doesn't fit very well, and it never did. Now, I had just learned how to do full bust adjustments, so I got thoroughly excited and did one to this. The bust dart is up here. That's not right. But never mind, there's not a lot I can do about those, and to be fair, with this print you can't really see them. But there are some other things that I would like to change. I put in inseam pockets, and I have put them in. They're actually at a decent height, but I didn't really know what I was doing with the finishing technique, so I've kind of fudged them in, and they are pulling and gaping and causing holes at the seams. There's stress there, so I'm actually going to take those completely out and sew the side seams shut. Then I'm thinking about a patch pocket on the front for my phone, because that is really the only thing that I would need the pockets for. The sleeves are great, but the actual skirt of this, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it unless I show you. So yeah, the bodice finishes here, and then the skirt finishes a good kind of couple of inches further over. I don't know how that happened, because the only alteration I made to this pattern was adding in the full bust adjustment and the bust dart. The way I got around it previously was to add this tie, but that's made the bodice, which it's made it too long, although it's actually not looking too bad there, but it is about ½ an inch too long. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to completely unpick the waistband, and I'm going to take the bodice off, and it's got front darts and back darts. I'm going to take those out. I do love the shaping, but I want to try and get it so that it is there isn't quite so much of a difference between the bodice and the skirt, and I would like a little bit more of a wrap over at the top, just because it's snuggly and warm. And as I think I mentioned, I've lined this in cotton fleece, so it's very, very snuggly and warm, whilst being cotton silk on the outside. So there's a few tweaks that I want to make to this to make it more wearable for me now, and that's what I want to get done today.
Obviously, the first thing I needed to do was unpick everything, and the stitching on this thing was questionable. Some very, very, very tiny stitches where I was clearly struggling to get this through the machine. But I got there. The pockets came out, the bodice came off, and I could assess what needed to change.
Okay, progress is being made. I have separated the bodice from the skirt. I've cut off 5/8 of an inch from the bottom edge, because this was slightly too long, because the waist tie that I've added was an addition that I made so that it would fit me. I've also unpicked the back darts. I've only done the back darts at the moment. I'm going to leave the front darts in and see if the back darts will give me that extra bit of width that I want. If not, I've got plenty of front dart to play with there. That's the bit that I've trimmed off. Also taken out the pockets. I have re-sewn down the bias binding to the edges where the pockets were, and then sewed the edges shut. So there are now no inseam pockets in this. I'm still debating whether I put on the front patch pocket, if I put on one, the side that it wraps over, or if I put on 2 or none. I might use it for a while and see if I miss having a pocket in it, but yeah, I'm pleased with this. So now I've got to reattach the skirt to the bodice and see what the fit comes out like. So wish me luck, and let's get that done.
3 hours later.
I have finished. The changes are probably really, really subtle, but they feel so much better. Let me just tip you down a little bit.
The changes are indeed subtle, but I think you can see here that the pockets being taken out means that there's no longer the drag lines coming from the hips. The crossover of the bodice is much deeper, I think that's the right term, and much more comfortable to wear. Despite having taken out the back darts, it's not as poofy as it previously was, and I think it's a better length on my torso. And shortening it that 5/8 of an inch has also meant that it's no longer dragging on the floor, it's just skimming. I'm really happy with these changes.
Okay, so I have, as I mentioned, taken 5/8 of an inch off of the bottom of the bodice. I've also removed the back darts, which has kind of just made it a bit more poofy in the back, but it has also made it so that the front and the back sort of meet up better. There isn't as much of an like jog in the top and the bottom as there was. The bottom is still a little bit bigger than the top, but it's now by what, half an inch rather than the kind of like 2 inches it was previously, so that's a lot better. It also means that this kind of does come, the top comes over further, which means that the crossover is higher up, which is much more my preference. Yeah, taking out the pockets as well, it feels less bulky over my hips, which is nice. Like I say, I'm going to try it without the pockets for a while and then just see if I want to add a patch pocket to the front. Could add a patch pocket to both sides, that could work. The crossover will allow for that, I think. But yeah, I'm just they're really subtle changes, but it just means that I will probably wear this far more often now. So yeah, I think that was a good couple of hours spent fixing something that up until today has really just been a decoration piece, and now actually will get worn as a dressing gown. The only trouble is with this fabric that the print will fade in the wash, and the more you wash it, the more the print fades, and obviously the shine as well, because this is a cotton silk blend from Spoonflower. They don't offer this base cloth anymore, which I'm really sad about because it is one of my absolute favourites. So it might be a dry clean only dressing gown, which sounds ridiculous, but this is not the kind of dressing gown I'm going to dye my hair in. I'm going to use my Toweling Terry one for that because it's already got hair dye all over it. So this is more of a kind of like a house coat to be seen in, rather than to, you know, that I think that makes sense. It was a very extravagant use of this fabric. This fabric is really expensive. It's like £27 per metre. I have a lot of it though. I did buy 20 metres, is that right? No, 20 yards of it. Did I buy 20 yards? No, I bought 60 yards of it. When I placed my order, I actually bought 60 yards of all of the different designs that I had in my shop when I first opened it and was offering my designs to buy as semi-tailored ready-to-wear pieces. Yeah, that really didn't take off, but it did mean that I have a lot of this fabric to play with, so that's why I have indulged and made myself a very fancy luxury silk dressing gown that I absolutely love. I think it is gorgeous, and now that I have tweaked it, it's even more gorgeous and definitely something that I can now actually wear. I mean, as you guys know, refashions are never my favourite. They're not the sort of thing that I enjoy doing. I would much rather make something from scratch, but because this is such a lovely piece and because it was so close to fitting me, I definitely felt that a couple of hours spent fixing it up was going to be a good use of my time, and I 100% am happy with the results. So yay. If you've enjoyed watching this video, you might want to check out this one here.